committee, one includes to provide Uganda shillings of 128.45 billion to cover the funding gap. Secondly, to approve the UBOS budget for the financial year 2026-27.
Back to the minister. I want to amplify and make some few corrections. On page 5, where the table 3, where we're reporting external financing, you may wonder why 12% when at half year the donors, these World Bank and UNFPA, UN programs, they work on calendar year. So some of these commitments were made in December to cover a whole calendar year up to December. Whereas the government budgeting is under calendar year. So we are still on track to implement these other activities.
So the position has changed now? Has it changed?
Yes, because this was up to December. And we continue implementing up to December again. On page 6, there are a few typos. On number 1, we don't produce annual GDP, but these are estimates of GDP. For us, we measure. It is you, the actors, who produce, who generate GDP. The same, we...
Can you come again? What are you trying to say?
Here we wrote annual GDP. The correction is we add estimates.
Which one?
GDP estimates.
So you are saying it should be annual
GDP estimates.
Okay.
And the same with quarterly GDP estimates. Because people who generate are you and the private sector. For us, we compile. Then we do not include, he read what we add in pen. We are adding annual and monthly consumer price index and inflation figures. Every last working day of the month, we publish inflation figures. And why it is important to mention here, it takes a lot of both human and financial resources to generate it. And it is used especially for monetary policy. The central bank rate depends on this inflation figures and CPI. Then, Chair, on our performance...
When you say it takes human and financial resources, I thought this is a routine activity you do.
Yes, but of course...
Which is provided for in your propositions
yeah, but
in the budget.
Majority of the staff are involved in that activity.
So that's just a generic activity.
Yes, but I wanted to say we didn't include it in the write-up, yet it is more important.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Then on the performance, he talked about the product we are going to release next month. On 6th of March, we issued a public statement showing 8 products we are going to disseminate from this month up to May. So I beg to lay the public statement on the table and for your use and consumption through the minister.
A copy of the public statement on the release calendar for completed surveys and census reports. I beg to lay. More copies.
Chair, maybe some guidance from you. The ED said 10 products. eight products, but I'm just hearing from census survey. Census survey in broad terms, or census of what?
I think what we do, as a matter of procedure, let him finish with the last bits. Then
I
let the
think you
minister now.
wanted to know the products.
Yes.
They are outlined in the document I've just laid. Maybe you could have a copy.
Okay.
These include the Uganda Malaria Indicator Survey Report, which we have already released.
Actually, we shall post it on the group.
And hopefully they were user generated. I mean, by generated or requested by the user agencies, or it's a product you are putting to, which will enhance our data.
Chair,
No, it was on.
is it on?
Yes.
Chair, our products are user-driven. And so far, the two reports we have produced have generated a lot of interest and excitement in public.
All right.
Throughout the place, you had the other week, malaria prevalence was an issue. Distribution of insecticide-treated net was an issue. Last Thursday, we disseminated orphans and all other vulnerable children report. We saw where the orphans are, how many are they, how many have lost both parents, or which parents of the two die most, and also their status, pregnancy in the orphanhood, and so forth. And these are important when we are trying to address those disadvantaged children.
All right.
Now,
Thanks.
tomorrow, we shall be publishing multidimensional poverty index. This is a measure beyond the income poverty we know, the absolute poverty. This one shows people who have experienced general deprivation in the 4 dimensions I've chosen, which is education, which is health, which is other standards of living, and basic services. This one is a monograph from the data we collected in census. We promised that we shall remind all the data that we generated to inform policy. So whereas Parliament may target absolute poverty measured by income and consumption, there are other poverties that are trying to address SDG 1, eradicate poverty in all its forms. So that report is very important. And we invite you, if you get time, to attend the dissemination at 10:30 at 11 tomorrow, or visit our website as we disseminate, because we disseminate at the same time to the public. Then, on 16th of April, we shall publish labor market survey. This one is more detailed and intentional to show the levels of employment, unemployment, job creation, which sector is employing how many, and which sectors are just paying lip service to the public. Then, on the 9th, before we, the 14th or 9th, we conducted census enumeration from April last year to November of all education institutions up to other tertiary. We didn't go to universities because universities and these higher education institutions have good records, but the raw ones from ECDs, early child development, nursery, primary, and secondary, and these other vocational schools, the data was scanty. So this time we have enough database that shows us good enrollment at whichever level. It will also show us the completion rates. It will also show us the infrastructure that is available in these institutions, the teachers, and the scholastic materials that are present. So this is also a rich report that we shall disseminate online for people. Then, when the NP was presenting, I had an interest in fishermen. We conducted aquaculture census last year in April, in May. And the results will also be disseminated on 30th of April. So we have a bunch of products.
I hope that report will be, because there was a lot of turbulence in that area. If you remember.
We focused on aquaculture.
Yes, but
This
that's
open fishing, and so this report will answer many unanswered questions.
all right.
Then, lastly, in the series of the surveys, we've been conducting panel surveys. Although here we call it urbanized because we are trying to get household information with institutional information, especially to include agriculture. So we have two reports. One is looking at the dynamics from 2021 to 24, and the other one is the wave that ended last year, 2025. So as you see us here, we are also trying to coordinate at the office to ensure that tomorrow we have a good report to present to you, and this is part of accountability and transparency that we want for. Yes, that one, this one, Human Resource Survey, is the one we used to call manpower, to show us the demand. How is our manpower demanded by the employers, organizations, and also it looks at supply, the institutions that are training people, whether they are skilled or not. So this one will come immediately after publishing the level of unemployment and employment, and then we see whether we have skills mismatch or something is missing, so that you policymakers can do informed decisions on how we can address the issues of unemployment and job creation in Uganda.
As Honorable Minister, you still have anything to say, or we call on members to?
Yes, just to talk about the multidimensional poverty indicator. We have been accustomed to this income-based poverty index, where people are deprived in terms of income, celebrating when the poverty indicator has come down, from 20 to 19 and so on. But then we are in a situation when we take the entire multidimensional approach and incorporate things related to the well-being of these people, existence of sanitary facilities like toilets, latrines, the indicator has become very alarming sometimes. So it is a very interesting indicator. I think it came from the UN, but it's a very interesting indicator, this multidimensional index, in terms of measuring poverty. That's where you see real poverty. This income poverty index sometimes could be misleading, but the multidimensional one speaks volumes. It really fully describes the person.
When did you start measuring the multidimensional poverty?
Honorable Chairman, we started using the survey data of 2016-17. The next one was survey data of 2019-20. But this one we have an opportunity because we used the whole census.
So you have done 3 so far?
This will be the third.
All right.
But the difference is this one, this is covering everybody.
All right, that's
So
fine. It will inform our...
and it also, because for surveys, because of the few data points, we can't disaggregate to the lowest level. But because of census, now we can give district level estimates, sub-county level estimates, and even parish as far as the multidimensional poverty is concerned.
Okay.
So this one, I will argue that is more informative than the survey data. So every census that will be coming, we shall recommend and we shall be producing the multidimensional poverty to see what has happened in between the two
All right, Honorable Minister, finalize so that I invite members to react to your presentation.
Perspective, Mr. Chairman, the challenge are the users of this information.
Honorable Minister.
A number of them. Let me just make this small statement, Chairman, if you allow me.
Okay, please.
A number of these stakeholders come to you here. They are making these normative statements that are not supported with evidence. And yet we are there with a lot of data. They are not using it. And you allow them to proceed.
Actually, Honorable Minister, there is a question which is coming to you. Hold on, Honorable Minister. When you say these stakeholders come here, actually we are going to ask you what you have presented to Cabinet about this measure and what it has helped in shaping or informing policies that this government has done. But I think with that, I would like to invite members to react to that. Okay.
Just a small thing. Chair and colleagues, I want to thank Obos for the presentation. Immediately after the Deputy Executive Director presented, the Executive Director came in to amend the signed report that has been presented to us. We do not have powers of making those amendments. And through you, and procedurally, it should be right that he sends the one that he has amended. But we can proceed.
I think it's okay because it came in handy to correct it. It's like a typo. That,
no, it's not a typo.
What he says is
even this one is signed.
What he says, what I remember, what he says is instead of calling it the annual gross domestic, you have to use the word estimates because that's the language that you use. Is that so? Yes. He was correcting actually the typo. So I think it was just what we can maybe advise him is to submit as another copy with those corrections. So maybe let me take this opportunity now to invite members to react. You can start with Honorable Pumari.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, first of all, I want to thank UBOS for the different surveys that they have made. And I am one of those who would strongly support their budget. Because if we have data, then planning for this country will be easy. But I want to know from him whether, for example, if you did this, you made a survey on employment, whether if I go to the UBOS website and I want to know the number of persons with disability that are employed in Uganda, whether I can get that data on your website. Then two, as you go to amend or correct the errors, on table 4 here.
Honorable Mpindi, I think the narrative we should be promoting is not to say people with disability. We should be saying people who are able differently. You know, that is even better. There's no disability. People who are enabled differently.
They say people with determination. But Chair, I take the guidance. I was saying on page 11, on table 4, under the current, you did mention that your requirement was 115 billion, and they allocated 107. But under funding gap, you are saying 112 billion. I think when you correct, you also look at that, because there is a challenge there.
Yes, Honorable Kefa.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. And I also very much commend the work of UBOS. You provide the data that helps in all government decision making, planning and budgeting. It's actually core. I found Honorable Golo's comment that stakeholders sometimes say different things. One thing actually, which probably you may be aware or not aware, the executive is saying that the informal sector is reducing, while the UBOS is saying the informal sector is expanding. I think there is need for reconciliation there. But the key thing that I wanted to mention here is the credibility of your data. The decisions that are made based on your data, the information that you give them are credible only as long as the data that you are giving them is credible. But we've seen you, we saw you earlier last year with the census struggling a bit, if I may put it kindly like that. You put some data, you say that may be wrong, you withdrew it, put some other data, which I think you also withdrew. Struggling a bit, and it looked like you are not sure of how to proceed. And then at the moment, government is telling us that the inflation is stable, but people are feeling the inflation. There is a public outcry that actually inflation is through the roof. There are rosy macroeconomic indicators that actually everything is very good to the economy, which I believe is based on your data. Whereas, on the contrary, we are seeing public outcry that things are getting worse and worse. How do we reconcile the two? Where are we getting it wrong? What's the problem with your data on which government decisions are being based?
Chairman, I want to thank you very much, and I want to thank Honorable Amos Golobi and the team from UBOS. I want to take the comment by Honorable Amos very serious, and I want to invite our colleagues that management of the state and government is collective responsibility. We need to ensure that there is compliance. In fact, I think we may need, there is a proposal to amend the Public Finance Act and our budgeting cycle. Like we have done with the gender equity, we need to make sure that all budgets and reports that are sent to Parliament, they have compliance report from UBOS. So, Honorable Moss, we are now requesting you to ensure that the Public Finance Act amendment makes that provision, makes mandatory that all institutions, because we spend billions in processing this data, and it can help our economy, like the business survey report will guide investors on the business space available and opportunities, and will also support revenue collection. So I want to thank you very much, and Ms. Honorable Moss, I want to request the ED that he work closely with these members so that they become the first ambassador and champions of the statistics and survey report. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honorable Ignatius Mdimi.
Chair, on page 11, on the table 4 and the table 5, I've seen the UBOS strategic plan for requirement requires 253.94. A budget allocation is 125. And when you also look at the activities down, and when the Deputy Executive Director was presenting, some of these items are time bound. So, Honorable Minister, since this is your area, what have you done to support, first of all, the strategic plan, and I've seen it from other sectors, from other reports. Whatever is in the strategic plan is quite different with the funding. Actually, it's hardly 50% funding. Now, this table, the table 5, these items are for a specific period of time. They are done after So what are you going to do? And you recall, Honorable Minister, you have been around for some time. When we are processing a budget, it's a process, and it's everything is a draft, like these are draft estimates, which are subject to changes. But recently, also, when you joined the other group, you developed a culture of saying now, Parliament tend to change the issue. And now, really, how are we going to, if at all want to repurpose, use your word, we repurpose some of the activities in the budget to support this? Are you again going to tell the Chief Executive that no, Parliament, and this is a player was going to me who reported it. No, but you have been around for some time. So when we are looking at the budgets, we look at the consumptive issues, the areas where we make savings. So what I'm asking, how are you going to support this? And this seems to have timelines. Now, second, on you indicated that there are some clients who normally come here, but we at times Bank of Uganda issues inflation. If it does work, now where should we run? Rely on Bank of Uganda or Ubos? Inflation, they talk about overseas, GDP, estimation. Where should we run the source? Yeah, because you find it in the printer and they announce.
Yes, I think, Honorable Minister, just two more, and then you will handle all of them at your go. Honorable Kugonza, and we finalize with Honorable Omara.
Thank you very much, Chair. I once again would like to thank Ubos and, of course, the Minister for a very comprehensive presentation. I just have a few things. Now, when you go to page 10 and 11 of this presentation, there are two projects that are being talked about. Now, there is commencement of construction of Statistics House Entebbe. That is on page 10. That is number 1 among the expected outputs that are expected during the next financial year. But on under 3.2 on the next page, there is this Entebbe construction that is not funded. Are these two different things, or it is the same thing? That is, I needed to get a clarification for if you are looking for more. But I want to thank Ubos really for making very good use of the census results, the census data that we got, because I think this time around we are getting value for money, given on the number of surveys that you are doing. And of interest is more about the multidimensional poverty, dimension of the poverty. That's something, and I think it will inform us a lot about what is happening down there. I've been thinking aloud. For example, like to support more committees of parliament and also the districts and the ministries. If you came up with a profile about every sector, for example, like if it is about the one that is overseeing, let me talk about education, to kind of give a summary of the key statistics, just to open up the minds of whoever is going to take a decision, to know, for example, like what is the enrollment levels, the dropout rates, completion rates, and we look at the national. If somebody is at the district prior, we look at the district level, we look at the pupil stance ratio, we look at the teacher textbook, teacher pupil ratio, textbook ratios, all these that are, and vis-a-vis the standard, so that even when somebody is going into a meeting, he is able to quickly look at, yes, we are going to make a decision. We are going to discuss a budget and pass it. But what is really informing us from a statistical perspective? And I think this would be helpful. For example, if it's about water, access to clean and safer water, and all these aspects in the village, in rural areas, at the national level, you find, for example, the variations. Even when we are allocating resources, sometimes we actually give the districts that already have more, are getting more, and those that have got little, they are actually continue not to receive. I think that would be very helpful in my view. I thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Before Honorable Mara comes in, I would like to appreciate, colleagues, the points you're making, especially on these 8 outputs you're telling us, which are very critical. And indeed, Honorable Minister, I want to appreciate UBOS. Because time and again in the constituency and everywhere on the radios, they will tell us the dropout of pupils. If you enroll in P1, by the time you're in P7, those who sit for PLE, the number has dropped. So I hope this report, baseline education census, will be able to inform us and know those who drop out, where do they go, and indeed make informed decisions to address those challenges. So I want to appreciate you because now you're touching the real points. If you give us these reports that are going to help us in decision making. Yes, Honorable Omar.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and the Bureau for your report. Mine, I have only 3 points. One is that as a country, we rely on the credibility and the integrity of the data you collect and you give us. So my request is that errors are normally happens, but please try to avoid unnecessary errors or cooking books. If you want to see that Omara has improved very well, Utuke is now in the middle income economy, you have a way of twisting the data. So my request is that ED, we must continue to work with integrity. We rely on this data. It's just more an observation. The other point is on page 11. I think all of us who are interested in numbers, we're on page 11. So you have your requirements of 253.94 billion, budget allocated 125.49. What caught my attention was actually the wage. How can we distribute money without taking care of that wage, of the 1.17? Mr. Chairman, wage should never be, there shouldn't be a gap on wage. We should find a way of ameliorating that. And then my question there also is, if money is to be found anywhere, out of these unfunded areas, which one would you give priority? If we say 1 or 2. Okay. And then the last question, Chair, is that I think the Minister also has referred to when he made his opening remarks. We had agencies here. ED, you were here also. There were lamentations from the National Planning Authority. And this is under you, Honorable Minister. I just wonder how government works. I've been a CEO of a financial institution, and everybody under me, I am the fulcrum. So I'm wondering how NPA says that, just a minute, how can NPA say they don't have, there's no congruence in data sharing, when also the UBOS is under the same ministry? How can we fail to bring the two together? So to the ED and also to the Minister, how come we are not sharing this data with NPA that should be planning for the country? Where is the missing gap? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Honorable,
just a quick one. To me, I thought to surveys or statistics on rebasing them of the microeconomic aggregates is a very vital thing. That should be a priority. It shouldn't be relegated to unfunded priority. That's what I thought. Because it's something key that will help us how we move. So it should have the first call on any resources that are allocated there.
You cannot make.
Then I wanted just to know the social statistics for measuring the well-being, which is summarily mentioned. But I wanted to know the real details of the statistics that can measure the well-being. Then, of course, as the Honorable Marat said, I was actually interested at whose wage bill will the 1.7, who will the 1.7 wage bill gap affect? Who is that person who are with the staff that you are not going, who you will not put? Then for the minister, we have these statistics. Every year in, year out, they are produced. They are on your desk, they are on your table, they are on your fingertips. How have you helped this country in informing policies? We know the dropout rates. We know the problem in the classrooms. We know the problem in the teacher class, pupil-teacher ratio. What have we done? Or we are just producing these statistics for the sake? Because it seems we produce statistics, but there is nothing that is even being done to help us with some of these things. So, and that also comes to the idea of multidimensional poverty. You were talking about celebrating. You are the ones who normally celebrate when the statistics, poverty indices are brought. You are the one, you clap when the president, I see you clapping when the president says that now poverty has improved with this. You clap, yet you know there is a better way of measuring this thing which is not realistic. It is not realistic. You are the clappers.
For NUSAF,
why are you not helping us?
For NUSAF now they say Western Uganda now is in poverty. They divide my money for NUSAF.
Thank you, honorable colleagues. Yes?
I just want to advise Honorable Olukolobi and the ED. The gap you have in wage, remove money from your building, cover wage, so that you have a gap in building. Then we'll see that one. No, the contract has not been awarded.
Now, honorable members, thank you for your deliberations. Thank you for your observations. I know our minister, our colleague, and the team were very attentive and they heard. However, I would like to request, like you've heard, they are going to be launching this report. The report, and I read verbatim, where I was invited to represent the committee. The Uganda Bureau of Statistics he was inviting me to represent the committee to attend the dissemination of the Uganda Multidimensional Poverty Index monograph developed from the data generated by the census. So I would like to request and delegate the Honorable Nakut Faith. Tomorrow I'll share with you this information with Honorable Ekanya. So these two will represent us. They will come and be there at the launch, and they'll inform the committee. So I had to balance the both, government and opposition. The treasurer of NRM and the treasurer of FD, so that we can get good reports. So having said that, we want to thank you, colleagues, for the observations you made. I don't know whether there is some quick, the burning ones you can respond to, but we request that by closure of business tomorrow, you respond to us, so that all these other areas you're correcting, you put them together and communicate to our clerk. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I want to respond to some few concerns.
Before you start, you see, when we are starting to make your presentation, when the Deputy ED was reading, you said this for us, you say you assemble, you use our data. We generate data for you, you use it to do something. What word were you using? You were like trying to divest yourself from the data.
No.
Yes, that's what you were saying. Now, why I'm saying that is, when you are talking about what you are disseminating tomorrow, again you have used the word that from the data, from the data of the census. Yes. Why don't you say your data? This is what you are the ones who manage the census, you're the one who released, and you own it. But you're looking at it, you're mentioning it as if it is different from the data from the census. Why don't you say from our data?
Okay, Chair. So we want to respond to some few concerns. And the one we take seriously is the credibility aspect. Uganda Bureau of Statistics, like any other national office, should and does produce and disseminate credible data. We have the standards, the best practices that we follow, both developed and agreed locally and internationally. We also have quality assessment frameworks. UBOS has a manual that we follow in generating data, and all the staff are professional. We don't have any incentive to cook any data. What would it benefit a statistician? Ours, as we always tell people, are like laboratory technicians. We just take your samples, test them. If you have malaria, that's it. If you don't have, if you go for screening and you have cancer, colon of the colon, it will be like that. I don't see how a technician manning radiography would start changing. Which interest would you have? So we are generally trained to be professional, and we behave like that. The few slippages, the errors that Honorable Chonoka talks about, we explain them very fully. First of all, the census had 3 phases of dissemination. The first one was preliminary, to give the users quick estimates of the population. The second one was provisional, the one that came in October. That was on our roadmap. And that's where there was an error of the clerical error of interchanging some tribes. We explained it, and the good news, it was provisional. Why provisional? It would give the compilers and the people who have read it to make comments so that the final report is robust. Since we disseminated the final report on 31st December 2024, I've not heard anybody in the country or internationally saying there is an error. And that was the reason why we had those processes. And that's how we do it as a statistical community. So, and by the way, once there is an error, it is good manners to acknowledge that error. If it has hurt anybody, you apologize and then correct. We have a fundamental principle of UN that shows how, when such error happens, how you address it. And we did it professionally, and I think we are proud that the final report that came still stands, and you are using it very well. Some of you use it to earn your seat back, and you are mining that data to give you more information to help you make your decisions. Now, on sharing, data sharing, we have generated the dissemination portal. That gentleman seated at the extreme, he told you his digital solution data capability is enabling the statistics office to communicate and disseminate the data to the lowest person. Now, you can sit at your parish level. If you have internet, go to the dissemination portal and get data and all these variables that are there. Number of households, Peter are twins who don't have access to clean water, you see it. So we try to disseminate. And we are also arguing that we should have a harmonized database for the whole country. I had the integration debate with the NPA. And it is our function given to us by Parliament that we shall maintain a centralized data, central government, central centralized data base of the whole country. We are struggling, and that's why we applaud Honorable Kanya that people should have certificate of compliance on giving us the data they produce, because there are so many producers of data. MDAs produce their data, administrative data. They keep it scattered. The U-boats cannot be everywhere. We can do as much like survey, censuses, admin data, and maybe harnessing the big data, but there are so much data over there that need to be centralized. Now, there are so many other entities that are trying to have that work, which will confuse them. So it is upon the policymakers.
Edie, just a quick one. I'd forgotten this thing, but I'd been assigned to ask this question. Where I come from, like in Buganda here, you have a clan called Senene. In Lango, you
Come
have...
again? Who assigned you?
The assignment by the paramount chief of Lango. That yes. So you find in Lango there are maybe about 140 clans, and during the census, you also asked to mention the clan where you come from. So the paramount chief is asking, is it possible to get out that information clan by clan so that we can ascertain that in this clan there are so many members, statistically, from the data of U-boats? Is it possible?
Omar said it's very important, and all of us need to harmonize, because when you go to immigration, your children go, they ask, what's the name of your grandfather, what is the clan? And they don't know. And people are, during census, they mention different clans. And so I think this requires serious debate and harmonization of data and information. Because people migrate, they marry. So Chairman, Amos, Amos, make sure that we discuss this matter next meeting.
Members, I think the U-boss has had, if you want that information, you can visit them, they can guide you if they can disagree. No, they can, members, if you asked me, for example, the relevance of some of those questions of clan and religion, for me, they do not necessarily hold any water. You know? Yes. So when I need a quick response, because we want to conclude.
Yes. Chair, before I answer that question, there was one other on what are the statistics on well-being. That dimension has how individuals are living, the housing conditions, the access to safe drinking water. We take drinking, not safe drinking water. Whether in your household, children are sharing a bed and a blanket. So those are the well-being indicators. Now, on wage bill deficit, who does it affect? It will affect all of us, because we shall not recruit a person when you cannot sustain that person. Now, when you asked that which of the other unfunded would we rather do, we have a critical one, National Service Delivery Survey. You got a demographic and health survey, and annual business inquiry, those three. Because number 2, 3, 4. Number 1, because the money is a lot. And you know, for us to do it, you must first do a pilot. So if you can get a little money to conduct pilot agricultural centers, And as we plan for 2027-28 to do the full-scale census, we shall be very happy. So that's why in the revised presentation we shall clarify those questions. And finally, CLAN, as I said, we produce user-driven. We have that data. We are going to generate it. I have heard the Uganda is also asking for it, so that the users who want it can use it. So we shall generate it by the end of Q1 next financial year. We shall have that model.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Your last shots, please.
Yeah.
No, yes, session.
I'm looking also, Dr. Mukiza, this rebasing of the macroeconomic aggregates, I find that one also very important to enhance our indicators on GDP and so on, debt to GDP ratios. The rebasing, if it could be financed, it's a small number of 3.43 billion shillings. Yes, now there is an issue on inflation. I think it was Honorable Mudimi was wondering whether we should go to Bank of Uganda or UBOS. Bank of Uganda dealing with monetary policy. They influence the level of inflation. But to determine what level of inflation it is a duty of UBOS to say that the inflation level is this. For Bank of Uganda, they can only influence using the instruments they have within the monetary policy. Just as the Ministry of Finance uses fiscal policy. So you cannot go to Bank of Uganda to say, oh, you give us the figure on inflation. No, that one you have to go to UBOS. I want to emphasize that we do not influence the UBOS in producing numbers. We never do that. We receive the figures the day they publish them, just like anyone. We only facilitate them to do their work, to ensure that they comply with all the required standards. We never influence numbers at all. And the President Museveni, too, does never do such a thing. He's a man who believes in accurate statistics. Yes, I have not seen anyone. He cannot report, maybe before I came there. But we have not been having this. So how have we been using these statistics? The planning we are doing is informed by these statistics. And many of the interventions that we do in the country, like the recent elections, NIRA activities, in fact, PDM, chronologically, we chose to do the census first before any of these happened. Before you went for election, we made sure that we had done the census. You see, before you did the NIRA activities, again, we made sure that we had the census numbers. So whatever is now happening, we have the census. Planning, we use the census, the figures from UBOS. All the other sectors, really. Recently, when we released the Malaysia report, we are shocked to find that the trend was reversing, taking a reverse trend. Now we are questioning ourselves, what were we not doing right? Or what is the population not doing right? You are giving them mosquito nets. They are not using them well. Many of you are not sleeping under these mosquito nets. Am I right or wrong? Yeah. They use them in fisheries.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. We hope you'll continue engaging us, especially when you're going to launch these reports, so that at least we have representation to to give us feedback. But on a lighter note, someone was complaining here, Honorable Minister, that why did you say before you went for elections, yet you are part of it? You should have said before we went for elections. So, thank you, Honorable Minister. Thank you, Bwana Idi, for the presentation and a detailed analysis. And I want to thank your team, a very formidable team that was here, and that is very reliable, and we know behind all these successes it's because of this team that you have. And I want to thank also my colleagues and the technical staff of the committee for the commitment and resilience that you've shown yet today in handling these votes. And I'd like to guide as follows, that tomorrow we shall be starting at 9 with the Office of the Auditor General, and then followed by other 3 votes. We intend to handle them so that we are done with them by 1, since you are aware that we have a sitting tomorrow. So I would like to thank you and request that the meeting be adjourned and we allow the minister and the team to go. Members, meeting adjourned to tomorrow, 9. Thank you.